So here in this lecture we will see a very important concept in SharePoint, which we'll see how we can use this one. First of all, how what is an web API, and then how we can create and deploy a web API into Azure, and then we will see how we can call that web API inside our workflow which we develop using your Visual Studio 2017 for SharePoint Online sites. And this one, if you'll see, this will be here also we will learn how we can create a Visual Studio workflow which will be available for the host web. That means you can attach this for a host website. So before doing anything, let us first create a Azure website, because we need to deploy the web API to our Azure website. So for this, I will open this in a new incognito window, and we'll open the portal.azure.com. So then what will happen is it will ask us for the credential. So let's provide the credential. I will put my Azure account. So here, this is my user ID, and then we will put the password here. So you can see here I put the password. Next, what we will do is here we will create a new Azure web app, so that we will use while developing our or while deploying our, in fact, our web API. So for this I will click on this create a resource. You can see here this one, and here if you'll see web app, click on that. And now what we'll do is in this we will provide some of the details, and then we will use that. So for example, I will create a new resource group on this. Let's say we will give web API SP or training web API, something like that we will give. So you can see here SP training web API, click on OK. And then this is the web API name. So let's say this will be our Azure site name. And then we will the runtime stack, if you'll see here, we will take ASP.NET 4.7 like this, and then click on review and create. So on this, basically, if you'll see here, it will validate few of the things, and then it will allow us to create it. So you can see here, just create it. Now, next, what we have to do is, we also saw previously that we need a published profile for this particular site. So for this, once it will, you can see here, it is deployment is in progress. So once it is successful, then we can download the published profile, which we require while deploying our website. So let us just wait for it. Once it will complete, then we will get the URL. So now you can see here it is deployment succeeded. Go to the resource, and we will click on particularly in our site. You can see here this is our app service. So first of all, I'll copy this URL, and let us open it here. So this is our web API URL. Sorry, this is our app web URL, whatever we created. Next, we require this published profile. So for deployment of that web API, which will create soon. Now click on this get published profile, and you can see here it is allow us to download. So just click on save. So now if you'll see here, our published profile got saved on this our local drive. Now just to sign out, so we will sign out from here. So let me just sign out from here. So we are done with our Azure stuff. So we created the site. Next, what we will do is, now we will create our web API. So we will use our Visual Studio to create the web API. So for that, what we'll do is, I'll open my Visual Studio. So you can see here, this is my Visual Studio 2017. So you can see here, once it is open, then we will go to file, new project, and in that go to the web and select ASP.NET web application .NET framework like this. So I will give a name. So SP training web API demo, something like that I will give here. So now click on OK. So once you click on OK, next you will see here it is select the empty project and select this web API. You can see here this option. Now click on OK. So once you click on OK, now what will happen is it will create this our project. But once this project is ready, we will add a controller into this web API. So basically, Web API is it's a API, so application programming interface, which can be used to communicate with various components with each other. And in ASP.NET Web API, is which will through which we can build HTTP service that can be available for various clients like browser and mobile devices anywhere that can be accessible. Now on this, if you'll see here, there now what we'll do is we will add a controller into that. So what is exactly this controller is? Controller is an object which will handle the HTTP request that we are doing. So if you'll see here, now go to the Solution Explorer, you will see there will be a controller folder. Right click on that, and then if you'll see here, add and controller. So then select this web API to controller empty one and click on add. So by default, if you'll see here, default is the name and default controller. So this is the name. Now let it be and then click on add. So now if you'll see here, it will add a controller into our project. So in that controller, what we will do is we will write a simple method which will return some message from message in that. So basically, if you'll see here, I will write a method on this. I'll just copy from here. You can see here this will be a method which is a my action is the function name, and it will take a test parameter. And here if you'll see here, we will return something on that. For example, we will say welcome, and then the user whatever we are passing or selecting, it will come. Now this is our HTTP method. So this controller has only one method. We have written this one. Next, what we have to do is, if you'll go to the app starting, there will be a file known as web API config.cs file. So if you'll see here, actually here we can define the path what it will be. So how we can access it. So for that, I will write this one. You can see here. I will just copy it here. Now if you'll see here, on this, basically if you'll see, there is a name. So the name is my action. This is the function. Then how it will be, the root will happen, that one. So what will be the URL, how we can access it? If you'll see here, the root template, here we are defining the API, then the controller name, in this case our controller name is default, then slash action name, so our action is my action, and then the test parameter, because we have required a parameter on that, so we can assign that, and these are the default values that we can pass it. So for controller, it is default controller action, what the action name, and text parameter, nothing. That is by default the value will be empty. So once it is done, now we can deploy this to our Azure. So for that, what we'll do is right click on this project, click on publish, and then if you'll see here, we need to import the profile. You can see here down it is saying import profile. Click on that and select the profile whatever we have. You can see here SP training web API, so that is the profile that we required. So once you added this, it will actually now it will try to publish it. So now if you'll see here, it is opening our site, but the problem is it is deployed to our HTTP site. Let us just configure it and change this to HTTPS. So I click on this configure. Let me just show you once again. Click on this configure button, link, and then here you put HTTPS. You can validate the connection, and if it is connection is fine, then click on next, and then save it and again published it. So once you will again publish it, now again is this time it will publish to the HTTPS URL. Now let it open. Once it will publish, it will open in the browser, and then we will see now whether our web API is correct or not. So if we'll see now, our this one is correct now. So you can see here it is opening in the browser the site. So this is our site. Now how we can test whether our web API is working or not. So to access that method, what is the method name, whatever my action we have. So for this, I will click on slash, then API, then slash the controller. So in this case, our controller name is default. So you can see here I put default, then slash again, and the method name in this case, the method name is action, and then question mark, and then we will have the parameter. So that name of this parameter is test parameter, and we will provide a value on that. Suppose I will put Bijay here. I'll click on enter. Now if you'll see here, now there is some problem on that. It is not coming off. So if you'll see here, default is not proper here. So now hopefully it should work now. Let's see. Now you can see here it is coming welcome Vijay. So whatever the value we are passing, we are appending a welcome. So that means our web API is working fine now. Next, what we will do is we will develop a workflow using our Visual Studio 2017, and we will see how we can how the workflow will be available to the host web list or libraries. So that we will see here. Now for that, I will what we'll develop is we'll develop a SharePoint hosted app, and then we will see how we can in that SharePoint hosted app, we will add a workflow, and then we will call this web API URL from that workflow. So I'll open another Visual Studio here. So I will just right click on this and then say open a new window. So it will open another Visual Studio, and we will make sure our developer site also, you should have the developer site because we are going to create a SharePoint hosted app. Now click on file, new project, and I will expand this office slash SharePoint. Just click on that and you can see here SharePoint add-in. So here we will give a name here. So SP training workflow web API. Something I will give, you can give a name. So once you click on that, then click on OK. Now we need to make sure our developer site should be there. So I will just copy the URL from here. This is my dev site. I'll just copy the URL. You can see here, and it will going to be a SharePoint hosted app. Click on next. So once you click on next, it will ask us to put our credentials on that. So I will put the credentials. Let it just open. So I will put my Office 365 credential on this. You can see here I put it. So next we will put the password. Now next what we will do is what it will do is it will select the SharePoint Online version and then just click on finish. So once you click on finish, our SharePoint hosted app will be created. So next what we will do is we will add our workflow into this particular SharePoint hosted app, so that we can see how we can develop that workflow. So let it create. So now you will see here, this is our SharePoint hosted app created. We do not need anything here. Just right click on this project, add new item. You can see here, add new item. And here what we will do is we will add a workflow here. You can see here, this is our workflow. I will give a name for this. So we will give the name as some list workflow name. So list notification workflow, something like that we can give. Click on add. Next it will show us what kind of workflow, what type of workflow we want to create. Let's say it's a list workflow. Then click on next and you just uncheck this option. If you'll see here, previously in our example we usually check this option, and whatever the list will be available in the app web, you can attach the workflow. But here we will not attach to app web, we will attach to the host web. Now next you just uncheck it and then click on finish. So once you click on finish, we need to do one more important thing on this. So once the workflow will added, then we will see that. So now you will see here, what we will do is I will select this workflow and then just click on F4. So once you will click on F4, then the properties window will open. Here what we need to do is we need to do a settings which is let's just let it just open. So if you'll see here, there will be a properties known as our integrated app. So that we need to make it to true. So for this, if you'll see here, let me just check once. So ideally, we should not select the workflow. We select the project and click on F4. So if you click on F4 now, you can see here there is a integrated app properties there, which is false. Make it to true. So you can see here now it is true. So you can save it. So once it is true, our next thing is we can have our workflow here. So our workflow now in this here we can use our workflow. So for that, what we will do is first of all here, if you'll see, we will first create two variables on this. So you can see here this is our sequence. So in this sequence we will create two variables on that. So one variable it will be a response which it will take, and then other one we will see uh, how we can use our HTTP send activity. So before that, click on this variable, and if you'll see here, I will have one variable which is saying var get response content. You can see here, and this one we will take as a dynamic variable type. So if you'll just click on browse, then search for dynamic, and you will be see here it is saying dynamic value, this one. Select OK. Now you can see here it will be of dynamic value. Next, another variable we will create of type string. So var result, I will take the variable name, and this will be of type string. So these two variables are there now. Next, what we will do is we will add a HTTP send activity. But before that, what we can do is we can have a write to history one. Let's say we will put a write to history here, first one, and if you'll see here now we will open the properties, and here we will have a message. So we will say let's say workflow started, something like that, just a message we are putting. Now next what we will do is we will let it just be. So next what we'll do is I will add a HTTP send activity. So just search for HTTP send. You can see here. Now drag and put it here. So once you put it here, now we have some other things will be there on this. We need to set up a few properties on this one. So now we need to set these things. So for this HTTP send, so you can see here I'll right click and click on properties. So in this, if you'll see here, first one will be our uh, uh, let us just will expand little bit. So first one will be our method type. So what will be the method type? It will be a get request. And if you'll see here, then we have to add the request header and for this one. So if you'll see here, request headers. So for this, what we will do is we will add the application JSON things on that. So for this, I will just copy the these things. So if you'll see here, now we will go to request header, click on this triple dot. So here if you'll see here, first one is accept. So you can see we will put this, and the next one is the content type. So the second one, if you'll see here, this is the content type, and on that also we will add the same thing. So you can see here the values will be like this, you can see, and click on save. So let me just make, yeah, it is correct now. So what will be the URI? So if you'll see here, uh, here we need to provide our URL. So what will be what things we have to send? Let's say we will send this URL. So with the hard coded parameters, you can anytime you can use your you can retrieve list item, something like that. You can also you will be able to get that, or you can let's say instead of hard coded BJ here, you can take the list item title, something like that. So that you can take it. Now what will be the response? The response will be stored in our whatever the variable we have created. So the response content will be stored on the var whatever is there, var get response content. So then click on OK. So once you can see here, we click on OK. Now what we have to do is we have to retrieve the values. So for that we need to add one get dynamic value property here. Now from the toolbox, if I'll go here, I'll search for get you can see here get dynamic value property. This one we can use. So when you drag and put it, it will ask you the data type. So here you select string. So in this case, you can see here we select string here. Now once we select string here, then what we have to do is we have to set some of the properties on this. So because this is the response that we are getting it, so for this, if you'll see here, what will be the property name, we'll leave it blank, but the result will be in a variable. So it will be on the var result, that whatever we have created. So whatever the variable is there, that one. And what will be the source? So the source will be basically our dynamic value which we have created and stored in the variable which is known as your get response content. So you can see here, now we use our the result will be there in the var result. So now next what we'll do is, so whatever the results it will come from that web API, now we can that value will be there in this variable. Now for this, what we'll do is we will write one more history block. So I will just drag and put it here. So you can see here now. So here we can have a message, something like that. So I will say message from web API, and on this, if you'll see here, now we will have to enter the value. So what will be the value? So the value will be our plus our var result. So this value will be there. Now click on OK. So if you'll see here, now our web API, or sorry, our workflow is ready now. So next what we have to do is we can deploy it. So once you deploy it, then this will be deployed to any we can go to any list or library, and then we can get it from we can be able to test it on this one. So for that, what we can do is you can right click on this, you can click on deploy, so it will deploy to our site. So if you'll see here, I will deploy it. Else what we can do also, you can package it, so it will be a .app file will come, and then we can use that in our app catalog site, and from there we will be able to add it to any list and libraries. I will show you how that will also appear. So let it first deploy to this site, to our uh, to this to our site. So also we can also provide the credentials or the permission whatever is required. Let me do that also. So once it will be there, then we can add our workflow into this any list and library. So we will be able to add any this workflow to any list. So you can see here now the app is deployed successfully. But what we'll do is we can just go to the app manifest.xml file, and then we will give the permission over there. So I will say, let's say site collection, we will give full control, and then particular web we required full control on that. Click on save. Now next, again right click and deploy it. So this time again, when you to deploy, it will ask us to trust the app, so that we can easily trust it. So now we can see here it is asking us, do you trust this app? Just say yes, trust it. And next what we will do is, you can see here the app will be deployed over there. You can see now it is deployed. So now I'll go to my developer site, and here we will quickly add one list. So I will say add an app. So I will just create a demo web API list. So it's a custom list that we'll create. So you can see here I selected a custom list. So demo web API list, and click on create. So once you click on create, next what we will do is we will attach first of all this whatever the workflow to this particular list. So let me open that list first of all. So it will be on the demo web API list. You can see here this one. We can just let it open. So we can just use the classic look and feel. So now what we'll do is I'll go to the list, then here workflow, then we will go to the workflow settings page. So in this workflow settings page, what we'll do is, if you'll see here, this is our app, whatever is there, whatever we develop. So if you'll see here, now there is no workflow on this particular list. So I'll select this particular our app, and now if you'll see here, this app is selected now. Click on add a workflow. So we will add that workflow to this particular list. So if you'll see here, we have our list notification workflow is coming under this particular app or the add-in. So we'll give a workflow name. Let's say we'll give this a notification workflow, and say, our history list, task list, that thing we can select it, and then we can say create a new item. Will start the workflow. Click on OK. So now this workflow is attached to this particular list, but the list is not available directly. The workflow is not available directly over there into that list. Rather, it is available on that app. So which is our SharePoint training workflow app. Now go back to our, so you can see here now this workflow is attached to this one. So what I will do is I will click on that. I will go to that list again. So you can see here, this is the list. Click on new item. So we will just select a test item, and then click on save. So now you can see here the workflow notification workflow is there. We'll just refresh it and then we will check the status. So if you'll see here advanced, then workflow. So on this workflows, now click on this because we don't have on this list, rather it is available on this app. So click on that app and now if you'll see here the workflow, you can see here the workflow is trigger already, it is completed. Click on that notification workflow. Now we should be able to see the message from, you can see here first one is workflow started, next one is you can see here message from web API, welcome Vijay. So if you'll see here, now the message is coming from the web API. Now remember two things here. One thing is, unless and until you make that integrated equal to true integrated app, you will not available over here. So once you make that integrated, then only you will be able to add this workflow so into your list. That is one thing. The other thing is, if I will show you our web API, so if I'll go to the controller class, you can see here this is a method, C# method. You can write any logic over here. Here in this particular example, we showed like just a hard-coded value or just a simple parameter, but we already know our C# object model, so or PNP object model. So you can add the DLL's references here from NuGet package, and then we can do any operation on the SharePoint site or any where we can just pass the credentials, username, password in the config file, and from there you can read and you can have your action. This method can do anything on that. So then in the Visual Studio workflow, we saw how we can call it. So you can just pass the parameter. Let's say you want to count a if let's say you have a product list and you are passing a product title and you want to count whether that product is available or not. So this kind of things, any kind of operation that you want to do, you have your CSOM code, you can write it here and then you deploy it. It will deploy to Azure and then we can call it in our workflow. So this is how we can work with web API, and we also see how we can create a workflow for our host web list, and then finally we saw how we can use our HTTP send activity to call our web API, and we got the result, and then finally we print it in a workflow history. So this is how we can work with web API in SharePoint.